Hello and welcome to Elseworlds DC Fan Podcast. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Chris. How are you today, Chris?
I'm doing so good. Doing so good. It's fun to talk about this stuff. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, we are going to be talking our Smallville updates. Chris's first watch through Smallville. We will be discussing everything through season 6, which premiered September 28th of 2006 through May 17th of 2007 and was 22 episodes long. So we're going to jump in here. We got so many more I was going to say Marvel characters, DC characters in this season as we get characters like Jimmy Olsen, Oliver Queen, Martian Manhunter. And of course, we started off last time, or we ended last time, talking about the Zod stuff. And season 6 starts off with Zod turning the power back on, trying to use a satellite to destroy and rebuild Earth as a new Krypton with Lana. Clark gets stuck in the Phantom Zone, and he has to get help from his father's old assistant, Raya. And then they tried to escape. Chloe runs into Jimmy Olsen, who is a new intern at the Daily Planet. And Clark returns from the Phantom Zone and confronts Zod, who has taken over Lex's body. And he uses the House of El Crystal that Rhea gave him. Lex, of course, has no memory of this. That is a very big trope in Smallville. And Lionel is seen translating Kryptonian letters. Okay, so what was your thoughts on? You kind of talked about it, and we'll get into the more general stuff later. But I just want to kind of we ended last week talking about how they handled the Zod stuff. This is that second part of those two-parters. How do you think they did with this? And seeing the Phantom Zone, I think for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's the first time we saw the Phantom Zone, and it was cool. I like this a lot more than the finale of season 5. I like this a lot more. It seems a little more fleshed out. I what did they call it? The Dark Day or something like that.
Yeah, I forget what they call it. It's something like that.
But that makes
I'll look
sense.
it up. You go
Okay.
ahead.
But I really liked a lot of the stuff with Chloe and Jimmy Olsen. I think this episode was great.
Dark Thursday.
Dark Thursday. It was dramatic. Again, I would have just liked to have this wrapped up as the season finale and then come into this, because you still have so much cliffhangery stuff after this. Like, you can't watch this episode and be like, you know what, I'm going to bed tonight. I gotta, like, now in the age of streaming, when it's right there, it's like you're just gonna watch the next episode. It's gonna happen. So I thought there was enough keeping you going if you could have just saved this for the season 5 finale and then started it off from there. That would have made me happier for season 5. Season 6, I really liked the start. It was exciting.
Yeah, let's dive into, I think, some of the best stuff about season 6. Oliver Queen enters the fray here. We also get Clark learning his new superpower, right? He gets a cold and is able to sneeze and blow the barn door off across the whole town.
Oh, that was so awesome. And then Lois is running and she
Yes.
sees it, and like it's so easy for her to piece this together and she can't do it. It's hilarious. I just it's like the awkward explaining about how their door got, oh, it was really windy all this. She's like, oh, was
Yeah,
it?
it
Like,
blew
it
it all
was
the way over
great.
there. Yeah.
I love that scene so much. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course, this power is not a super sneeze; it's the super breath that
Super breath.
he
Yeah.
has as Superman. But Oliver Queen, he is the. I think he was introduced at the total right time. He spends the first half of the season with us in season 6,
Mm-hmm.
but he is, I think, something that the show needed as fresh, kind of like fresh air into the dynamic of Lex and Clark and all that kind of stuff, and just introducing something. And he became so popular. This is, of course, why we have something like Green Arrow or Arrow, the show,
Yeah.
and the whole Arrowverse is because this was a very popular take on the character, and it was doing well.
Before I watched season 6, I could not understand why there were people who liked this Green Arrow more than Stephen Amell's Green Arrow. I'm like, a Green Arrow from Smallville for like, are you sure?
I
And then
count
I'm
me as
like,
one of those people, by the way. I
and I'm
am.
like,
I am.
this Hartley guy is pretty freaking awesome. I like this Green Arrow. It's pretty
He
awesome. I love,
oozes charisma. I
yeah,
feel like Justin
oh,
Hartley is just.
yeah.
He's done so many good things after this too. I know, but I mean, like he is. He just kind of has that charisma about him.
Well, he's actually Green Arrow, not a Batman
Yes, he's the
substitute.
real Green Arrow. Yeah,
He's the
exactly.
Green Arrow that, like, if you watch any of the animated stuff or you read comics, this is the Green Arrow that you know, if you just watch Arrow and you thought, oh, he's dark and brooding and he's always in a bad, that's not Green Arrow. So, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought this was great. I loved the scene where you know. Erica Durance's Lois is like, if you can shoot the Pepsi can, and then he gets the ring, and then she's out, too bad, and then you see the last shot where the
Yes,
thing is ringing around the. It's so good.
it's something
The
that he kind of lets her go, thinking that he missed it, right? But then it
mhm.
zooms in and you see that he actually hit it.
It was
Yeah,
it was first off, the show is so clever with things like that. I love that. I thought that was fun. It was creative. It is kind of charming. Like, it's just like, I like, he's like, I'm gonna let this happen naturally, kind of thing. I'm not gonna force it. I thought it was
right.
really cool. Plus, he also can't be too competent in front of her because she's chasing this Green Arrow down in a couple
Yes.
episodes.
Yeah.
So, like, she starts chasing him down, and her relationship with Oliver made a lot of sense. I was like, all right, um strapping tall billionaire, great personality, Lois Lane. It's kind of like, in the comics she gets with Lex sometimes. Lois, will have a history where she dated Lex before or something, and you're
Or
like, God,
Bruce in the
or
DCAU,
that's a good
right?
pull.
Like
That's a
in the
great pull.
Batman Superman movie,
And,
she kind of had a date with him or something.
and I like it when Lois has one of those types of relationships before Clark. Like, I think that's
Yes.
really
Yeah.
cool. So, um, I loved everything about this season, to be honest with you. This season kind of got me
On
um,
track with it.
back on track because I got to the point where I was really busy. I was binging less. I was watching less because it's just I couldn't, and I was like, dude, why did I ever like go a week without this show? Like, it is so
Hmm.
good. Um, I really like season 6. I think season 4 was my favorite. Still, I'll say that because you get Lois introduced in there. The whole dynamic starts to change. It's a fun time. But season 6 with all the Oliver and all of the Justice League stuff,
Yeah.
it's just. I like what you said. You needed something in there between the Lex and Clark of it all because it was kind of getting stale. It was like uh, a duo that weren't really working together.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times the Lex storyline would be so far apart from the Clark storyline because they weren't close anymore. So Oliver really put that energy back into the show. I really like what you said there. So I agree with you.
All right. Yeah. We got in this, we had that reunion episode where Lex and Oliver go to their reunion, 10-year reunion, and we get like the flashbacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
On how Lex, who had his best friend Duncan, kind of what happened to him. And we find out it was like they were kind of getting picked on, but Lex kind of turned on Duncan, right? To kind of he was getting fed up that I guess his association with him is what was dragging him down. And as he's yelling at this kid and he's backing up, this kid gets pancaked by a freaking truck on the road there.
this episode broke my heart. As a guy who
Yeah.
got bullied in middle school, a guy who never really fit in. This episode really hit me. Like it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I just um and I love that Oliver seemed to kind of feel bad about it and seemed to change and like
Yeah.
make it a
That was
point
probably the
of
catalyst for him, right? I
right,
mean,
that it made it a point to, "Hey, this is not who I am. I'm gonna learn from this." And I love how Lex does the absolute exact opposite.
yeah.
Because it's just there's so many moments in the show where Lex is who Lex is. He just will always do the absolute annoyingly wrong thing. And it also shows you a very early Lionel save of Lex. And it's like that Lex Lionel thing keeps getting more and more interesting because I cannot for the life of me figure out if he loves his son or he hates his son. I have no clue. I have no clue. I still do not know. And I don't think Lex knows. And I think Lionel doesn't know. I think it's a weird relationship. And it's so cool. And it's Lionel is so good on this show. That actor is so good. Like he is a horrible character, but he is a great part of the show. He's a
Yeah.
horrible person. Great
I
part of the
agree.
show.
I think John Glover is so great, and of course, I always have to bring this up, but also Towson alum,
Hell
like
yeah.
you and me. So
Hmm.
he is, yeah, he used to teach there too. Like it's great. John Glover is one of my favorite parts. He's been one of my favorite parts of this show since I was a kid. Like just anytime he comes on the screen, he like demands your attention. You know, with the way that he's just eating
Hmm.
up the words on the script and spitting them out so elegantly. And I mean, him and my favorite character growing up was always Lex in the show because I felt like Michael Rosenbaum was so great. But when it really is the two of them together can elevate any scene.
Hmm.
I could probably give them the Who's on First routine by Abbott and Costello, and they could make me on the edge of my seat listening to that as they're delivering it like Lex and Lionel, you know? Um,
Yeah,
I,
a
like,
hundred
they're just
percent.
incredible.
It's very much to me like Grant Gustin and Tom Cavanaugh as Flash and
Yeah, yeah, I can see
a
that.
Reverse Flash. This is like I always say when Tom Cavanaugh in the Flash, he just eats the seed. It's his. It's his
Yeah.
seed. That's very much how John Glover is, and I think Michael Rosenbaum is such a strong actor that it's just that I love that relationship has absolutely no definition. Has no definition. They're just where it starts, where it ends, where it's been. It's an absolute mess. And if it wasn't, the show wouldn't work.
And then we had a great episode, of course. We talked a little bit about it on one of our news based episodes. It's just like hey, how great was that? But Justice, right? You got Bart
So
coming
good.
back, Arthur and Victor all coming back, and they're teamed up with Oliver, who is kind of in charge of this Justice League without them saying Justice League, right? And
They
they're trying to
basically did.
recruit.
It's
Yeah,
like
they're trying to
they
recruit
did all
Clark
but
here.
say it. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I first off, when Clark lets go, like we've talked about this with the Red K, but like when he lets go in like a heroic way, and he's just completely himself, so cool. And he can't do that with anybody else. These are the first people that he can do that with. So that was really fun. And Bart, oh my goodness, Bart in this episode, like he's in the thing, and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is just torture. And AC. Oh, so cool. There's nothing about this episode I don't like. I'll just let you know. This episode, outside of maybe Onyx and the series premiere, outside of that, I don't think you can beat this. Like, I will doubt there will be an episode that touches this. It's so fun. Like, I'm literally like, this is like movie quality. This is ridiculous. On the CWWB, whatever it was back then. Holy goodness. Just
Yeah, I think this was
bravo.
the last season. Oh, this was the first season on the CW, I think.
Okay.
Which, of course, if people don't know, WB and UPN just merged to make the CW, but so it's pretty much the same thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I really enjoy Justice a lot. I do think I really like the season 9 uh Justice episode, which we'll get there at some point. But this one is, and that one's a two-parter, but this one is
Ooh.
up there for one of my favorite Smallville episodes. Anytime these characters show up, and um this show has, it's like looser continuity than the Arrowverse, which would kind of have a more modern sensibility of, this is our arc, this is our villain of the year, this is blah 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 blah. This show really started off as case of the week, because that's what the formula was back in the early 2000s, because people didn't have, like, TiVo was in its infancy. um if you wanted to watch an episode, you have to tape it on your VCR, or else you have to wait until a repeat to see it again, right? And now that shows are kind of built around streaming or built around the DVD releases, stuff like that, DVR, those Arrowverse shows were able to build in more stuff like that. And you would have some like case of the week stuff, but you would always have like bigger episodes. This was like one of the first ones that when you're watching it, I think, where you're like, wow, they're really connecting stuff from, but they also do it in a way where you don't need to have known these characters. They kind of fill you in on, oh, this is him, and you're able to put those pieces together and be like, oh, I'll have to find a way to watch those at some point. But, for back then in 2006 or 7 at this point, 2006, no, early 2007, sorry, January 2007, this was like the closest you were getting to a live action Justice League. I mean, we were 10 years away from the real, getting a real theatrical Justice League. But at that point, that seemed so far away. At this point, we hadn't even had the Dark Knight yet. Like, you're like, oh, Batman Begins is a thing, and there's Superman Returns that didn't do great. You're like, when, there was no concept of really of doing a live action Justice League movie. So this would be what you would get. And I think there is, for sometimes when people go back and watch these, if they weren't around back then, I think they might look at what the Arrowverse has given them with their crossovers and be like, all right, this has kind of been done before with actual costumes. But for us back then, this was the thing. Like, I remember the commercials for it. I remember the talk about it because, like I said, there was no way you, like, the only other dream you would see of this, you're thinking like the DCAU when you're watching Justice League the cartoon. You never thought you would see this in live action. It just didn't really seem like the thing that would happen, especially during this time. You're getting the X-Men movies, like Last Stand is coming out at this time, and they're still scared to wear uniforms. They're wearing the black spandex instead, like the black leather.
What do you
And
expect? Black
yeah,
spandex?
and so I do think this one is like a huge cornerstone of what they were able to do and how they were probably able to learn from this stuff and translate it to Arrowverse. A lot of these people work on the Arrowverse. A lot of the Vancouver crews stuck around. Glenn Winter, who directs Crimson, the one with the lipstick with the red kryptonite, he's directed so many episodes of Smallville, but he also directed so many episodes of the Arrowverse shows. So a lot of those writers move on to there. A lot of the people that just actually, like, the crew, move on to those shows. I think they were able to take stuff that they learned from here and really put it to use over there, where maybe CW was a little bit more bought in because they're like, we did it successfully with Smallville, we can now do it successfully on these other shows.
Yeah, Crimson was such a fun episode, by the way. Oh my goodness,
it is. Yeah, Clark is just an ass when he's got the red kryptonite.
But that was a different red kryptonite episode for me, because when you look at that red kryptonite episode, that was, there's always been this thing where it's a bit of honesty. It comes from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
That episode was, a lot of the stuff he said was just honest. It wasn't even mean. It was just honest. And he's such a homespun,
no filter.
Yeah, he's just a homespun nice guy that, like, you don't expect that from him. I actually don't understand how he doesn't get arrested in this episode. I don't understand how things are okay after this episode. I would think Lana would have less confusion after this episode, be like, okay, that's it. Both of the men in my life are assholes. But I so there's the ramifications don't actually make sense. But what an episode. I loved the hell out of it. And when he's talking down Lex at the thing, it's just and how like, oh, you're so obsessed with me, you had to get my girl. Like, unbelievable. I just bravo. Bravo. And then the Lois thing on top of it is like you're kind of seeing Clark and Lois. It's like, but Lois isn't quite herself. Dude, so good. That episode was fun.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the pregnancy and the wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh
The
Lana.
pregnancy, quote unquote.
Yes. How evil is
Lex,
this, by the way?
yes.
Lex making her think that she is pregnant so she will stay with him. I mean, this is some twisted stuff.
like it's the extreme version, like it's the absolute like extreme version of like someone saying they're 5'10" on their dating profile but they're 5'5". Like there's no way that that wasn't gonna come and like ruin everything. Like there's no way that. But when the doctor tells her, is like, hey, why'd you fake the pregnancy with all those hormones? And she's genuinely shocked, and then she goes from being genuinely shocked to being absolutely enraged because she knows what happened. I mean, Lana pinpoints that moment when you made the nursery and you showed me the nursery as a great acting performance of Lex. And it was like, oh, if that's you sold it so well. She knew he was evil at that point. Like she knew. Just unbelievable. That might be my favorite part of the season is Lana calling Lex out on being an asshole. Like, part of my French, but like Lana figuring it out and wanting out. Like, it made me like Lana a little bit more than I had because Lana had got it to a point where it was just annoying. And now you feel a little sorry for her. She starts to actually make some decisions that make sense. It's like, okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, look, the Luthers are not great, right? Lionel pretty much forced Lana to marry Lex,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that
Yeah.
he's using her to spy on Lex. And Lana is telling Chloe, like, don't tell Clark because that, that can hurt Clark. His life is at stake. And yeah, just so much weird stuff with that. But it is coming to its end, right? The Lana
Yep.
Lex stuff, the Lana Clark stuff is coming to an end. The season you're on is the last season of Lana as a main cast member. It's also the last one of Lex as a main cast member, just to give you
It's
a
gonna
little
be
warning
weird.
there.
It's gonna be weird. I'm bracing myself for it. I don't know what the show's like without Michael Rosenbaum. I this That doesn't even make sense to my mind. But
Well,
we'll see.
I'll say because so season 7 has like the what Bizarro is the villain there, or he is for part of it, right?
Yeah.
He's part of the end of the season of this one, and then he kind of goes into the beginning of the next one, and we'll be introduced to the real Kara, as it's pronounced in this show,
Yeah, I know.
compared to.
And by the way, you're gonna get annoyed with me because I'm gonna just keep saying Kara. Like in my head. Like when I read the comics, it's always been Kara. Because like in the
It
TV
sounds
show is
more
Kara.
Kryptonian than like if
It
you do
does.
Kal-El, Kara, seems more like than Kara, but
Right.
I
It's not
grew up
the end of the
hearing
world.
Kara, yeah.
Right. So like if I had watched Smallville before I watched Supergirl, maybe I would feel the opposite way. Um I also think Kara sounds better in general. Like Kara doesn't, and it's got like a, I don't know. It almost feels like it should be
Yeah.
a C with Kara, but oh,
Um
that's a whole other thing.
yeah, so season 7 will be the next one that we talk about when you finish that. Where are you currently at on it? Do you know?
You know what? I can pull up Hulu and figure it out. I think I'm on season 7, episode 12.
Oh
But
wow.
I can pull it up on Hulu and tell you immediately the uh slow loading of it actually. Let's see. Resume. Oh, wow, I was far off. I was on episode 8.
Oh, okay.
So
That's the next
you
one.
know, yeah, I mean, I had just seen his mom, Laura, all that stuff. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, a lot of car stuff early in that season. We're not talking season 7, but I'm like, is it contractually obligated that she doesn't wear a full t-shirt? Like,
Probably.
like she never wears anything covered. Like,
Look,
I'm
it
not
was the
complaining, but
CW
like,
in
I know.
2008. All right, that's how we rolled back then.
It's not that I'm
Clark,
complaining, but it's like a
Clark
little
and
weird.
Justin Hartley are shirtless almost every week. There is an episode coming up written by Todd Helbing, by the way,
Oh,
and
that's
his
cool.
brother Aaron, and it has the return of Pete Ross. So you have that to look forward to
I
in
like Pete.
season 7. Um, yeah, and there's only 20 episodes this season because of the writer strike that happened in there. But yeah, so that'll be the next one we talk about, and then season 8. You talked about how you balance getting rid of somebody like Lex. Well, that's the season that Justin Hartley returns full time as a cast member as Green
Oh,
Arrow. So he will
cool.
be back for the last 3 seasons through that. So
Well, that
um,
that that works. I need something. If I'm losing Michael Rosenbaum, I'm like,
yeah, you
yeah,
need
I need
something.
something. Does
Yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum come back for the finale or anything?
Yes. Yes, he
Okay.
does. I will tell you that.
Okay. All right. I mean, I know enough about it that I don't really care about spoilers at this
Yeah.
point. It's a show that's like over 20 years old. Fun factoid. After Superman and Lois is done, it'll break a streak that started in 2001 of a DC show being on the CW
Yep.
or WB.
And
So,
for all the people that want to blame James Gunn for that, just look, they canceled Walker on the CW now too, which means that they're only down to, I think they're only going to renew All American,
yep.
which means it was going to happen either way at
Yep.
the end of this season. So don't buy the CW's like, oh, we would have loved to have kept it going. No,
I
they,
don't think
they
I
wouldn't
think
have.
James Gunn was in the position of neutrality was the best course for him because like you couldn't I don't think he has anything against the show, and I actually don't even think he'd have a problem if it kept going another year. But also, it's kind of like it doesn't involve him. Like it's
Yes.
just,
Yeah. No. Like, I
he
think
let
that
it let
CW
it
guy was
let it
trying
go.
to not come under fire for it, but with
Well,
them
of course they
canceling
are.
almost every show except
Yeah.
one, I feel like it's pretty likely they would have just got rid of this show without an ending. So I'm glad
S-
that they made the
yeah.
deal for the ending.
So I read an article where the CW guy was like, "Oh, this is going to be an Emmy worthy episode of TV. Like this is going to be a great finale. Like I can't wait for you to see it." I'm like, "You just canceled the show and now it's the best thing that ever happened." Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're having their cake, they're eating it too. But that's completely off topic now that I think about it.
Yeah, well, that'll wrap up our season 6 stuff. So, okay, before you do,
Okay.
reshare your top 10 episodes, and then if
Oh,
you want to
absolutely.
rank the seasons for us so far,
Ooh,
that would be
okay.
nice.
So, ooh, let me pull up my top 10 because I just had it up, but then I opened Hulu. So then I gotta, there we go. All right. So the top 10 episode 1, season 1, pilot. Number 2, Onyx from season 4. Number 3, Justice, which we talked about tonight, episode 11 of season 6. My number 4 episode is Rogue from season 1, and it's really a personal reason. I just remember that's when I got hooked. Season uh, 2, episode 8, Ryan is my number 5. The finale of season 4, Commencement, is my number 6. My number 7 is Vortex, the season premiere of the second season. Number 8 is Reckoning, which is an episode from season 5. Number 9 is Red, which is the first time we see the red kryptonite. And number 10 is Lexmas. There are some really good episodes that go on there. I have till 20, but that's the top 10. So what I do is when I put another one up, it just pushes that one a slot down. So I have till 20, but that's the top 10. What I will do is my season rankings, I'll go season 4 is my favorite. I'll say season 1 is my second favorite. So season 4, season 1. Then I'll go season 6, 2, 3, 2, 5, and 3. I don't know. At the end, it gets kind of negotiable. But I think the peaks for me were seasons 1, 4, and 6 as my 3 but favorite seasons. Like I
Okay.
think so season 1, I got hooked on it and I realized the charm of the show. Season 4, you got Lois, you got a lot of things going. Chloe figures it out. There's a lot of things to like about season 4. And season 6 kind of brought me back to life with the show. So those are my 3 favorite seasons for sure.
Oh yeah, what's your thoughts on Jimmy? You like Jimmy?
I like Jimmy a lot. I think this is actually my favorite Jimmy Olsen now because Jimmy is either kind of a throwaway character a lot of times or he's just weird. And this is just like, hey, he's a normal guy in an episode series about
Yes.
people that aren't normal guys. So, very interesting stuff. I like Jimmy. He's an honorable guy. Think I like that he calls out Chloe for always helping Clark and always making time for
Mm-hmm.
Clark. And because I don't think there's a guy in the world who would look at Tom Welling and not be a little jealous. Like my girl's hanging out with this Tom Welling guy.
Yeah.
Be like, well, I'm done.
By the way, I was in Annapolis for a work event, and we went to this burger place that has all these pictures on the wall of like local celebrities, like senators and all that kind of stuff that have
Yeah.
eaten there. But they had a picture of Tom Welling on the wall from a convention. I'm not sure if
Oh,
that
that's
means he
cool.
ate there or something, but it was literally right by the door. I saw it. I took a picture of it. I'll send it to you. But I
Oh,
just
that's
thought that
awesome.
was
Yeah.
really funny. I was like, oh look, I can't escape him.
So I saw on Twitter the other day who's your favorite Superman, and I thought about it, and I'm still putting Tyler Hoechlin there, but I understand when people are putting Welling there. I get it. I think I put Hoechlin because to me it's the perfect balance of Reeve and Cavill, and you get a mature, fully realized Superman, whereas in Welling, you never get the full Superman package. So
Yeah, and if you tell him that, he'll say he never played Superman. He played
he
Clark
played
Kent.
Clark Kent. Yeah,
That's
and
what
I
he'll say.
like that line too. So it's true. It's absolutely 100% true.
All right. Well, you can follow us at elseworldsdcfan on all of our social medias. Email us elseworldsdcfan@gmail.com. I'm not going to plug anything because this one's coming out whenever, so we'll keep that. Just check the feed for any good stuff there. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time here on Elseworlds.